Hey guys, it's Marty and welcome to Two Line Slot Cars. This week, we got a box. Now, I did not pre-order this. I kind of waited to see what people's reactions were. But I got a text from both John Albright and Greg Kessler that said, hey man, this car's got some potential. Did you pre-order? And sadly enough, I didn't. But I got lucky, placed an order with LEB, and I think I bought the last one. So let's dig into the box and see what it is. So what's in the box? Let's get it open. Let's not waste any time. I'm pretty excited about this car. It might be because there's a lot of excitement about the potential of being a Mosler killer. That's saying a lot. My Mosler up there on the shelf is the fastest car that I own. Now, it's got some magnetic effect with that angle winder motor. So you guys already know what's in the box. Not a big surprise. And there it is, folks, the NSR Sidewinder Corvette C8.R in the test orange. That is a really, really good-looking car. Let's take a look at it. So what do you think? That is a really, really good-looking car. I have another NSR. And it is the C7 Jägermeister NSR Sidewinder, 25K motor. Quick car. It's a little bit to handle. I've got it tuned up, but it is definitely pretty wild on the track. I mean, it's such a fast car. That 25K motor on my track is probably a little too much. Yeah, let's take a look at those side by side. About the same size car. Orange is a little brighter on the new one, and then we also have the Revo slot C5 Corvette, and these are all different Corvettes, obviously, and it's really the only Corvettes that I have around. I really only own one. This is John Mark's Revo slot. Again, from a scale size, looks like they're pretty close. I think the scale from both of these manufacturers are good. Oh wait, I realized I have one more Corvette. And this Corvette is the Carrera C8 Corvette. And so I think really, if we're going to compare Corvettes, we can remove the Revo slot. We can remove the C7R, and then we can compare the C8R model from Carrera with the NSR. So from a size standpoint, they are identical. Very similar wheelbase. The NSR is slightly smaller wheelbase, a little smaller wheels and tires. The body is just slightly smaller. It's really close though. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Let me move my microphone just a touch. So they're really close. From a scale perspective, the detail, there's some detail missing in the NSR. Some of the body lines are missing from like the top of the car. You can see that there are no body lines on the top, but there are body lines on the Carrera. Yeah, I think the Carrera just has a little bit more detail. probably, yeah, I would say a lot more detail, actually. When I look at the front ends, the detail on the Carrera versus the NSR, Carrera definitely has a lot of detail. So listen, I know that I haven't talked about a Carrera car in a long time. This C8.R from Carrera is a really good car. It's one of the fastest cars on the track here. When we run digital, it's very, very competitive. Carrera really kind of knocked it out of the park with this car. I'm not going to lie. I know that this isn't a Carrera C8.R review in any way, but I thought it would be good to line them up next to the new NSR, because what we do know from NSR is sometimes they sacrifice detail for performance. And we know that this is a great performer. Out of the box, this thing should be really, really good. Now, I definitely would want to do my baseline tuning with this car. And for me, here's a look at the rear. You can see the difference. Pretty close. I mean, this is a painted livery, so there are some details that are painted in that NSR would do. They start delivering the other liveries. The one thing I do know that I really like about the NSR is they have basically installed an indestructible wing, and I think that's super, super smart. The cars look great with wings on them, but a lot of times guys pull them off just because they know that they won't last, and they don't want to break them and lose them, so they pull them off. And it just really takes away from the car on the track, just the look of it. I can't decide whether I want to open this thing up or not. It's a Sidewinder. Now, I do have a pod, an angle winder pod for this car. So I could run this as a Sidewinder or an angle winder. So leave me a comment. What do you think? Angle winder or Sidewinder? I tend to like Sidewinders. They just, for me, they are just a little more manageable on the track, but you can't deny the speed of an angle winder. This definitely has a little bit of magnet effect right there on. And so that would definitely be an advantage on a plastic track. The rules are for the fall NSR race, if you can run those, everyone will be running them. So yeah, there it is, the new C8.R. Would love to get it tuned up, run some laps on the track, really tear into the car. Okay, so let's take it out of the box, have a look at it. Get a better look. Again, Sidewinder. Without some detail, but I'm not a rivet counter. I think it's beautiful. I think they did a great job. There it is. A little bit of float right out of the box. It does have a magnet in it. We will take that out. We'll put some silicone tires on it. I don't know if I actually have a set of tires for this. 1403s. Yeah, I think those are. So I think I do have a set of tires. I do not have a replacement guide, so we'll have to roll with some other guides. We can set up the front end, but I'd be curious to run some laps after I do the baseline tuning, run some laps as a Sidewinder, and then run some laps as an angle winder. I don't know, let's tear into it and see what we can do. It did come with the screws to set up the front end. I like to do that setup. I like to get the front end exactly where it needs to be. Again, baseline tuning. Not going to be doing anything, no race prep here. Just going to get it to a place where we can run some laps. And the reason is we don't run magnets. There is no float in that pod. We definitely need to make sure that the chassis is flat. So does it have the bottom screws? Okay. So kudos to NSR. Guys, they have already put both sets of screws in this car. And I've already, the front end is close. And so these are extra. Let's take a look. Man, so a quick glance at the body. Look at the interior. That interior is made to be lightweight. And just like John Albright said, it's made to float. I don't know if you can see it. The way that's welded on, that is made to float. That was done on purpose. And so was the back glass. Okay, that's impressive. NSR, they really this is a great upgrade. The fact that they already have all 4 set screws, I'm not gonna lie, that, like, well played. I'm super impressed by that. That is actually how it should be. So I'm just going to raise the front axle up just slightly. Still a little bit of movement. I probably would bring that in just slightly. Barely touch. Like that. I think we're pretty close on the front end. Again, baseline tune. I'm going to add a little bit of float. So I'm going to come out a half turn on all of the screws, and we'll start there. Freed that up a little bit. NSR rubber is really good rubber, so I will keep these in case I need them at some point. But I'm going to throw these super tires, 1403s, I believe. They probably have a few laps on them, but for what we're doing today, it should be just fine. Okay, those are 1402s, not 1403s. So they're a little narrower, a little shorter. So I really think I would want a set of 1403s on this. But since 1402s are what I have, that's what we're going to run with and see how it performs and go from there. All right. So let's put a little grease on the gears. It won't take a whole lot. Run that in. A little oil on these bushings. Gear mesh feels okay. It's a little more play than I like. There's no screw for this motor, so the motor can actually move a little bit. So I think you would want to glue the motor down. No weight, a little bit of pod movement. We'll set it up with some body float, and let's go put it on the track. Eventually I will probably use the NSR screws that are shanked to get a little more float, but we will use just these because this is what everybody else will have. I like that body float. Again, I like the unbreakable wing. That's nice. Let's go hit the track and see what kind of laps we can do. Okay, first run of no laps, no weight, base tuning. Let's see how she runs. I'll kind of ease into it a little bit here. Ooh. Okay. Already can tell. Probably going to need a little bit of weight. Yeah. Going to want some weight. Let's change some settings here on the controller. A little more brake. Probably need to fluff the braids. Fluff the braids a little bit. Yeah. So let's fluff those braids. Losing power a little bit. This thing is really, really light. I should throw it on the scale. See where we're at. Yeah, we're pretty loose. We're still losing power at a couple places in the track. So I think my braids just aren't where they need to be. So we're still running 5.58 is our fastest time. 5.58. All right, let's do a few more things and then we'll go from there. Okay, we've added a little bit of weight. This car was so light, it needed some weight, so we didn't add a lot. We'll see. Oh yeah, that's a big difference. Ooh. So that regular NSR guide is not going to be the guide that stays in this car. It definitely is going to get a slot invasion or an NSR wood guide. Still a little loose. Again, baseline tuning, I haven't really dug in. I try to, just wanted to get some laps in and see how it will perform. It looks good on the track, I will tell you that. Man, it's still just, it's kind of loose. It's gonna take some work. There we go, that's a pretty good lap. All right, so there we go. 5.32. So 5.3s, 5.4s. That's not bad. And you saw how loose that car was. So obviously with a little bit more energy into tuning, that it has some potential. Initial thoughts on the car. I think that it looks fantastic. Is it perfectly detailed? No. Now this is a test livery. Maybe the next round that come out will have a little more detail in them because of the graphics and the liveries. All I know is the pictures that they've posted for the pre-orders. The Repsol looks fantastic. That is going to be super popular. Orange is obviously a great color for this car. You know, as it compares to the detail of the Carrera car, I mean, you be the judge. We all know that Carrera has great detail. They do an awesome job with their bodies. Again, completely different type of car. This looks fantastic. From a performance standpoint, I didn't get to try this because I realized I didn't get to try the pod with the mag effect motor and the angle winder to do a comparison. I thought it would be great to do a comparison, but I didn't have the right gears. So I'll order an angle winder gear for this, and we'll try that at some point. It quickly got to 5.25s. That's really close to the other Corvette, my NSR cars. It's right in line with all of them. You saw the tuning. I really didn't do anything. I set up the front end. I added some body float. I lubed the gears and the axles. Outside of that, I really didn't do anything. No high-level tuning, just the baseline tuning, and it really responded well. It did like some weight in the pod, so I think if you are a person that buys the cylinder weights that snap right into the pod on the NSRs. I don't typically buy that stuff just because I feel like it's really expensive. I mean, all it is lead weight. I know that I could probably make my own, and maybe that's what I'll do at some point. It seems to like the weight right there in front of motor, and that calmed the back end down considerably, but it still has a little bit to go. It's still pretty loose. Again, it's a 25K motor on a track, 21.5 motor. This probably gets super quick, probably runs the same times and super easy to drive. So I think that if you have a small layout, that's probably the way to go, is to tone that motor down a little bit. All in all, fantastic car, guys. It looks it's just great. And if you're a fan of the C8 Corvette, which I am, I'm not a big Chevrolet guy, but I do like Corvettes. It looks awesome. It runs great. I think it will be the car to beat once the NSR Nationals come around. So that's just my take. I think once people figure out how to tune this thing, it'll be a rocket ship. Is it a Mosler killer? I don't know. That's yet to be seen. The angle winder cars sold out really quick. I would say that they are really, really fast, especially on plastic track. So guys, if you like this kind of content, you want to see more cars like the NSR Corvette C8.R reviewed and talked about and tuned, well, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, hit the bell so you get notified anytime I put out new content. Guys, thanks for tuning in this week. I hope you pre-ordered your C8.R, but the next round of cars sounds like they're coming in June, which isn't too far away. And those will be not plain cars like this, test liveries. They will be actual liveries, and they've got some good ones coming. So hope you check them out. Hope you pre-order them, because they will probably go fast as well. This is a popular car. Don't sleep on it. So, guys, thanks. Go have fun racing.